The Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.
Hello, Liam Flint here. We're back. 2019 is here, and welcome to our new All Africa series of the Planet Sport Rugby Podcast. Now, just as it sounds, Series 2 is all about African rugby, as we talk to some of the biggest talent from across the continent. And I feel like we've really hit the jackpot with our first pro guest. I'm massively looking forward to this. Ugandan Rugby wing Philip Wokorach is here with me now. Philip, it's always a pleasure. Great to have you on the podcast. How are you doing? How are things your end?
Thank you so much, Liam, for having me on your podcast. Everything is going on well, and yeah, I'm good.
I feel like for most people, Philip, especially around the continent who love their rugby, you don't really need an introduction. You're pretty much the poster boy of Ugandan rugby. Lots of people will know you on the 7 circuit and the 15s. And you're not a bad player, which I suppose helps as well. For those people who are living under a rock and maybe haven't heard of you before, could you just give us a quick insight into how you first got into rugby?
I got into rugby way back in 2002 when they introduced the sport in Uganda at a local club near my neighborhood. I started off playing tag rugby and went through the ranks to age grade rugby, contact rugby, played for my school, played for the under 19, and now playing for the big team, the Uganda Rugby Cranes, both 7s and 15s.
And you've come a long way since then. It's great to hear your story. You're now, I'm pretty sure you'd agree, you're a key player for Uganda Cranes in what you do over both 7s and 15s, without a doubt. My first question really is, do you enjoy the pressure and the anticipation that Ugandan fans have around you, that you're a leader, that you do great things and score lots of tries? Do you like that pressure?
The pressure keeps me going. I personally put them in that position to expect whatever they expect from me. So the pressure keeps me going and keeps me working hard every day that goes by. So I believe the pressure is healthy on my side, and I wouldn't mind the pressure coming in any time now and then.
And I know it could have been all very different for you. You've had a lot in terms of injury and worries there. Am I right in thinking you fractured your right leg twice?
It was my right leg first, then my left leg.
You've done both legs. That's very impressive. In terms of injuries that you don't want to get as a rugby player, that's right up there. Tell us about that experience and how you managed to find the strength to come back and play at the top level.
First and foremost, it was really devastating. It pulled me back. I kept on wondering if I would ever play again and all, but as time went on saw counselors, surgeons, different doctors, physios. They would tell me, no, this is something small. It's part of the sport. You'll get back to your feet and you'll play. So as time went on, I started seeing it becoming a reality, and I thank God, because I don't know if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be again. But it strengthened my faith, my hope, and my courage. So it really made me stronger, and I didn't look back when I healed.
And it really is an amazing story of just your mental toughness to get back, really. And now you've gone on to play at things like the Commonwealth Games, you've won the Africa Cup, you've played at Rugby World Cup 7s, and this is all by the age of 25, which is really impressive. You must be so proud of how far you've come.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm so proud, because there's yet more to come. I'm still striving for more, but back to God again. I would thank him for everything, because without him, I wouldn't have achieved all this.
But I'm guessing, well, you've just said there, you're not satisfied just to stop there. And I think you've said before that you really want to go on to be professional, to become one of Uganda's greats. How are you going to make that happen? What's the plan in your head that's going to see you achieve those goals?
Yeah, I believe it's not yet the end for me. And to be the best in Uganda, I would love to see Uganda in the 15th Rugby World Cup, because that's when they'll know is a country from Africa that has qualified for the World Cup. And if I'm part of that team, then at least I'll be remembered as one of the best in the country.
And so if that's your dream, how far off do you think Uganda are in terms of 15s from getting to a World Cup? Kenya seem to be the nearest at the minute outside of the South Africa and Namibias. Do you think Uganda, in the time you've got to play, can definitely achieve that goal?
Yes, I believe we are near to achieve that goal, because I would give a flashback of 2017. We tied with Kenya. We were at number 2 and Namibia was number 1, but the performance was awesome. We came into 2018 because we had to juggle players in the 7s and the 15s, so it really disturbed us a bit. But I believe this year the Gold Cup will be on and we are ready to put up a good show.
So you think the time is now in terms of your chance? You think this could be the year now coming up?
Yeah, this is the year. I think we shall send a message across the world. And if God helps us, we may maintain it till the next World Cup. And this very year, it's a big year for the 7s. We still have the Hong Kong qualifiers to be a co-side in the HSB series. And we also have Olympics qualifiers. So if all goes well and we qualify for both, it will still send a message across the world. So we're looking forward to having a great year this year.
You've said you'd love to play pro rugby at the top level. Do you ever have a particular club or country that you'd like to go and play in? If it was completely down to you and you could choose where you went to go play your rugby, what league or country would you like to go to?
I would love to say I'm open to any club. I don't have a particular club, because if you're to play pro, you don't choose a club you want to play for. The club will always look out for players and they will sign you up. So I'm open to any club, and I would love to play in England or France.
And I suppose looking at your picture right now, if we look wider at rugby across Africa, it's growing so quickly. It's the fastest growing sport across the entire continent. As a player, you're right in the middle of that. Can you see that when you travel around, people you meet, the fans? Can you tell?
Yes, I would reckon that, because back then I used to hear a few number of countries playing rugby. But recently there are so many that are emerging out, and yeah, it really shows that the sport is growing and many people are falling in love with the sport.
Let's talk about rugby fans growing up in Uganda. What advice would you be giving them? So many people look up to you, so many youngsters look to you as a role model. If you could give them a piece of advice looking to the next generation of Ugandan rugby, what would you be saying to them right now?
Personally, I would tell them not to have negativity in their mind. They should be positive. And also, for them to be who they are, they should know that no one will be the author of their book or their story. So they have to write their own story. So whatever you write in your book, make sure you do not regret. So you're the author of your story.
Is that similar to something that someone said to you when you were growing up, or is that something you've learnt?
That is something I've learnt.
So what kind of things were said to you when you were growing up that really had an impact on you?
I was always getting the positive advices from people. Keep pushing. You really have a bright future in rugby, and all. So I kept pushing. But like they say, not everyone will wish you the best. They may laugh with you, but they don't mean it. So those that criticize you will make you better, because you learn from your mistakes. If they see your mistakes, at least you can learn from that. But if you're always good, then you're not learning anything new. So criticism is key, and it shouldn't pull you down. It just makes you better.
Sound advice. And I've noticed with you, Philip, that whenever you play, or if you get an award or something really positive happens to you in your game, you're always very quick to give thanks and to say that it's for God's glory, not your own, which is not something that every rugby player does. So it makes you stand out there. Is it fair to say that faith in God is a massive part of your life and who you are?
Yes, I would say faith in God is a big part of me because I personally, I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for God. Because I've felt His mercy and goodness in so many different ways, and I can testify coming from the injuries and still strong and pushing.
So is it something that you grew up with and you just knew from your family, or is it something that you've experienced for yourself and you kind of made your own decision?
I would say I believe in God not because my parents told me or not because the church told me, but it is because I personally experienced God's mercy and goodness.
So if we bring this back then to earlier when we were speaking about your injuries and the leg breaks that are horrific at the time, talking about that as a Christian rugby player, how do you deal with that? Is it just bad luck and you say this is life?
I wouldn't say God would put you in a situation and leave you there. And also, I wouldn't reckon that bad things happen for no reason. But I believe injuries are part of the sport. And so I don't blame it on anyone. It's just part of the sport. So since I chose the sport, so I have to deal with everything that comes with it. Not forgetting my God, who is always taking care of me and looking out for me.
Do you think that makes you a better rugby player? Do you think you would be where you are today without God in your life, without that faith?
It doesn't only make me where I am in the sport. I believe it comes back to my general life, because it's not only in sport that I can show God's goodness and mercy or faith. I believe it comes back to my general life as well. So the way I take myself, the way I serve my God really says a lot about me. So it's not only in the sport, but in my whole life.
And away from rugby, do you keep up with any other sports? Would you keep up with the Cranes football team? What other interests do you have there?
Personally, I used to play football, soccer, but because rugby took up everything and I fell for rugby more, so I left out on soccer and decided to concentrate on rugby, which has really put me where I am right now.
Yeah, it's clearly the right decision you made there. The rest was history for sure. So do you reckon you could have made it, if you'd carried on with soccer, do you reckon you could have played for Uganda in that as well?
Basing on the number of players that, basing on the number of people that play soccer, I don't think I would have gone far. But I was lucky, rugby was a new sport, and as among the people that got to learn about the sport at the early stages, and yeah, that's why I never looked back, and it really helped me a lot.
What was your position in soccer for a big
As
guy?
a striker.
Yeah, I can see that. Bagged lots of goals.
Yeah.
Okay, Philip, we love to finish with a bit of a juicy question. Think about all the African players that are at the top of their game on the continent at the minute. If you could play alongside any two players from any country across the continent that you haven't so far, who would you love to play with on the same team?
I would love to play with Collins Injera. I look up to him. He's a really hardworking guy. He has done a lot for Kenya, which I would love to do for Uganda. So I would really love to play with him. Though I've played against him, even the last 15th game I had over here in Kenya was against him, and it was really an amazing game. He's a great player, and he really knows the game. So I would love to play with him one day.
Good choice.
And maybe Varna Kok
Of
of
South
South
Africa.
Africa. Yeah.
Why would that be?
I love his passion for the game. he has that undying spirit for the game. He never gives up till the end.
Two very good choices. That would be an awesome front three there if you could choose that. Philip, on behalf of us here, thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best in this big year that you have coming up. I'm sure we'll get you back on the podcast at some point.
You're welcome. And thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, that's us for this time around. Series 2 is off with a bang. A massive thanks again to Uganda Rugby's Philip Wokorach. Do keep up to date with our social media across Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at PS Rugby Podcast. And do join us for the next episode in the All Africa series, where again, we'll be getting to know one of Africa's best in the world of rugby. If you want to listen again to Philip or anything that we've talked about today, you can listen on iTunes or just visit our website, which is planetsport.tv. But until next time, I'm Liam Flint, and you've been listening to the Planet Sport Rugby Podcast.